used to the cold weather yet because it's only like 32, 33 degrees, but I am froze. And I typically hunt in a lot colder weather, but I think today the wind is definitely a factor. I'm kind of scrambling to get ready here and go get out in I'd say a tree. I'm going to be in the blind again tonight. So it's going to look like a very similar hunt to last weekend when we saw that 8-point. And that's the buck that I'm going in after tonight. He was spooked, I think, from the night I hunted. I ran him off the field after I got out, and he was spooked for a couple days, ended up showing back up, and has been there ever since. So I am almost certain we'll probably see him. I think it'd just be a good deer to get out of here. He's been running off some of these other bucks. I say that. I'm not going to sit here and call him a bully buck and act like he's, destroying all these other deer. However, I have noticed since he's really taken up residency in this kind of core area, a lot of those other deer have quit showing up. So maybe it's coincidence, but even if that's not the case, I have a good feeling about getting him out of here. He's not a 3-year-old deer. He's older than that, and I don't foresee him blowing up into anything, and I'd much rather kind of free up those resources and let some of these younger 2- and 3-year-olds occupy that space, utilize those resources, and hopefully stick around and get to maturity here. So I'm going to finish getting ready and get moving. All right, now we got some snowflakes falling, so I don't feel like such a wimp for complaining about the cold. I'm off, and it feels very similar to last weekend. I had plans of getting in a tree. However, running behind, things don't go very quickly when you have a newborn. And we made the trip this morning, so getting back in the blind, and that's probably not a bad thing, the more that I think about it, because we're supposed to have a wind dead out of the west, which right now these flakes are kind of falling southwest, which would make a lot of sense for that buck to bed on that northern end of the field where there's kind of a wooded point that goes out, and that's probably where I would have hung. And instead I'll be further on the south end, so hopefully I can get in without spooking him. To kind of paint the picture for you, I'm slipping up this leeward side, and the blind is just up there right over the top, right where you can see the horizon. I did just bump a deer back there that was bedded on this bench that I'm using for access. Well, the second I got up here in this blind, I was pretty excited. I know my hat looks goofy. I was trying to listen to deer that were running off. It's hard to do when you got your ears covered. So I spooked that lone deer on that bench, and I worked that bench to the north basically till I was parallel with this blind where I could just pop up over the edge and get in. And further up to the north, kind of where that point is that I thought the buck might be bedded, a couple deer spooked there. There's actually a few. I think it was just a big doe group. I think probably 3, 4, I don't know, maybe a couple more. They spooked, but after that I was able to get in here clean. Generally, I've been jumping deer trying to get into this spot in this little thicket to the south. I believe I was good there, but then I looked up and there was a decent young, I don't know, probably 1 or 2 year old that I've had pictures of in here, kind of skirting that edge. So I don't know if he maybe heard me getting in here and got kind of funky or what, but he wasn't real spooked. I feel overall pretty good about my access, and I think we'll definitely see deer. Wind is perfect, straight off the plot into my face. And my strategy tonight, I'm just going to open these windows up. Right now it's super warm in here, just taking that wind factor out, but I'll open these windows up and just let that breeze flow right through here. It's going to dump off that backside. I'll probably throw on my heavy jacket because it's pretty cold, but we're going to hang tight here, and I would expect deer to be moving pretty much the whole rest of the evening. So that's another one of those deer that we have at least a shed from last year off of him. I heard him coming out of that thicket over there, and the second he got out into this field, he started posturing up the other bugs. We're still waiting on the target of the night. That makes 4 bucks and probably somewhere around 12 total deer so far. kind of on that tipping point between the rut and late season patterns. However, it's kind of unusual. I've never seen 6 bucks hang out together at the end of November quite like this. I know sometimes we see kind of another uptick in breeding activity in the tail end of November, where some of those does come back into estrus that didn't take the first time. But this is pretty comical because these deer are walking around, and even though they're sparring a little bit, you would think this is August with velvet on and bachelor groups. I'll spin you around here and show you, but it might be hard to see through the tinted window. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are somewhere. I've lost track of them. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Crazy. Well, I got the blind all closed up, and I can still hear those bucks out there fighting. It was a pretty sweet night, other than not seeing a big deer. I think I ended up at 7 bucks total, and I couldn't even keep track of the number of does. I actually probably saw more bucks than does, which is unusual, but we definitely have a surplus of young, immature deer, which isn't a bad thing, but definitely a lack of big mature deer this year, and actually the past few years it seems like definitely some EHD issues in the past couple summers, and there's also a lot of hunters and a lot of very serious people that are basically all around this entire area, and we get a lot of decent up-and-coming bucks, you know, those 115-inch, 120-inch basket rack 3-year-olds that are getting there. They seem to get whacked pretty quick, so that doesn't mean that some of these big ones don't slip through the cracks for a couple seasons and reach maturity, and that's what makes them so rare. That's what makes them so fun to chase. And although it gets seemingly harder and harder to find that type of deer, something about it just does something to me, and gonna continue to keep chasing them, moving cameras around, trying to find that right deer. Probably gonna hunt tomorrow as well. Not in the morning time. I'll definitely get back out in the evening. We got the OSU Michigan game. Watch some of that, and then get in a tree or get back in this blind. So yeah, definitely feels like late season. So that's exciting.